Stop for a moment and listen, because this is for you. Yes, you right there carrying the weight of 1,000 battles in your heart. What's your name? Where are you sitting right now? What's that one pain, that one fear, that one wound that's stealing your breath, keeping you up at night? Life is hitting you hard. Isn't it the chaos, the noise, the voices, some from others, some from within, telling you you're not enough, that you'll never rise above that? Your dreams are too big, your mistakes too heavy, your scars too deep. Maybe it's the sting of rejection that still burns, the grief of a loss that feels like it'll never heal, the shame of a failure you can't shake, or the loneliness that wraps around you like a shadow. I see you. I feel that ache with you. I know what it's like to carry those wounds, to wonder if you'll ever be whole again. But let me tell you something, God sees you too. Psalm chapter 139 verse 14 proclaims that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, crafted with divine purpose by the hands of a creator who knows every tear you've cried. No wound, no failure, no voice in this world can erase the plan he has for you. You were born for more than this pain, more than this struggle. John chapter 16 verse 33 declares that in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, God has overcome the world. So I'm standing here asking you, will you rise with me today? Will you claim the strength God planted deep in your soul? Will you step into his calling and let him heal every broken piece of you? We're in this together because you're not alone, and you're stronger than you know. Let's fight for your healing, your purpose, your victory right now. Life is a battlefield, a relentless storm that never seems to let up. There's always something charging at you, trying to knock you off your path, trying to slip under your skin and make you question everything, your worth, your dreams, your faith. But you've got to be tougher than that, stronger than the chaos, more resilient than the pain. You've got to rise above it with the power God has given you. This world we're living in, it's deafening, overflowing with opinions, judgments, and voices shouting who you should be, what you should do, how you should feel. Everyone's got something to say, and most of the time it's not about lifting you up. It's about them, their agendas, their egos, their insecurities, their fears spilling over onto you, trying to dim your light. But you, my friend, you've got to find your peace, your unshakable center right in the heart of that storm. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 assures us that God will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in him. You've got to hold tight to that divine peace, cling to it like a lifeline, and not let the world's noise shake your soul. I'm not saying you should shut down your heart or walk through life like a statue untouched by feeling. We're human. We feel deeply: joy, pain, anger, love, sorrow, grief, hope. Those emotions are real and they're part of God's design for you. They make you alive, they make you human. But here's the key: you've got to master those emotions with his guidance, with his strength. You can't let every jab, every harsh word, every moment of rejection or failure dictate how you feel or who you are. When you let the world control your emotions, when you let every wound reopen, you're handing over your power, the God-given strength that's yours by right. And when you give that up, you're not steering your life anymore. You're lost in the waves, drifting without direction. So how do you take back the wheel? How do you navigate this noisy, chaotic world without letting it break you? It starts with knowing who you are in God's eyes. What's your story? What's the deepest wound you're carrying today? You've got to know yourself so deeply, so unshakably, that no one's opinion, no rejection, no failure can rattle your faith or make you doubt your worth. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 confirms that before God formed you in the womb, he knew you and set you apart for a purpose. You've got to be so rooted in that identity and the calling God wrote on your heart that no critic, no doubter, no voice of shame can make you question who you are or why you're here. That strength, that holy confidence doesn't come from the world's applause or approval. It doesn't come from people calling you great, talented, or special. It comes from deep within, from knowing God's truth about you, from standing firm in his love, from believing his promises over the world's lies. When you're anchored in that truth, when you know that Psalm chapter 139 verse 16 states that all your days were written in God's book before one of them came to be, the words people throw at you, the shade they cast, the pain they inflict, they lose their power to wound. You're not chasing their validation. You're not begging for their approval. You're not waiting for someone to say you're enough because God already declared it, and His word is the final authority. That's your strength. That's your power. That's your shield against the world's attacks. So when someone criticizes you, when they doubt you, when they try to make you feel small or unworthy, it doesn't hit the same way it would if you were unsure of yourself. You keep pressing forward, doing what God called you to do because you know who you are in Him and what you're capable of with His strength. You know that no rejection, no failure, no mistake can define you, only God can. But let's keep it real, knowing yourself like that, standing firm in God's truth isn't always easy. What's your name? What's the lie you're believing about yourself right now? What's that voice whispering in the quiet moments telling you you're not enough? A lot of us wander through life unsure of who we are, lost in the fog of doubt, shame, or fear. We spend so much time trying to fit into other people's expectations, chasing their standards, trying to prove ourselves to a world that's never satisfied. We lose sight of the unique soul God created, the one-of-a-kind masterpiece He designed with purpose. We forget what makes us special, what sets our hearts on fire, what God Himself placed within us to shine His light. And when you don't know who you are, when you're not anchored in His truth, you're vulnerable. That's when every harsh word, every rejection, every sideways glance cuts like a blade, reopening old wounds of shame, failure, or loneliness. That's when the pain feels personal, like an attack on your very soul. But when you're anchored in God's design for you, when you know your worth in His eyes, none of that can touch you. You become unshakable, a rock rooted in faith, standing firm against the storm. So how do you get there? How do you build that rock-solid confidence in who God made you to be? It starts with looking in the mirror, really looking with honesty, humility, and a heart open to God's voice. Ask Him to show you His truth about you. Psalm chapter 139, verse 13 declares that God knit you together in your mother's womb with purpose and care. Ask the tough questions. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I stand for? What am I willing to fight for? What's the one thing God put in my heart that I can't let go of? And most importantly, what is His purpose for my life? What did He create me to do? When you wrestle with those questions in prayer, when you seek God's answers with a surrendered heart, you start building a foundation that no storm, no critic, no failure can shake. You get clear on who you are and what you're about, guided by His light, His truth, His love. And with that clarity grounded in faith, the world's opinions lose their grip. They don't carry the same weight because you're not leaning on them to define you. God has already defined you, and His definition is perfect, unchanging, eternal. But knowing yourself isn't just about quiet reflection. It's about living it out in the real world, in the mess and the struggle. You've got to walk through life, face the trials, stumble, fall, and get back up to truly understand who you are in Him. You discover yourself through what you do, through how you handle the storms, through how you respond when life knocks you down, when the wounds of betrayal or loss feel fresh. It's easy to feel strong when everything's smooth, when the sun's shining and the path is clear. But the real test of your faith, your identity, comes when life throws a punch, when the winds howl, when the ground shakes, when the pain feels unbearable. James chapter 1, verse 2-4 urges us to consider it pure joy when we face trials, because they produce perseverance, character, and hope. When you're pushed to your limits, when the world tests your faith, when the wounds of rejection or failure reopen, that's when you uncover your true strength. That's when you learn what God has equipped you to do, what He's prepared you for, what He's calling you to overcome. The more challenges you face, the stronger you grow. Every obstacle you overcome, every fear you push through, every wound you heal with God's grace builds more confidence in yourself and deeper trust in His plan. You start to see that no matter what life throws at you, with God's strength, you can handle it. You can rise above the pain, the doubt, the rejection, the grief, because Psalm chapter 23, verse 4 declares that even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you fear no evil, for God is with you. His rod and His staff comfort you. That's a powerful place to be, because when you know you can face anything with Him, nothing can shake you. You walk through life with a quiet, holy confidence, knowing God's got you, and you're in control of your destiny under His guidance. You're not defined by your scars, you're defined by His love. But let's be clear, knowing yourself and standing firm in your faith doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you've got all the answers or that you'll never stumble, never hurt, never doubt. It means you're at peace with who God made you to be, flaws and all. You're not chasing perfection. You're chasing the best version of yourself, the one God designed with purpose, the one He's calling you to become. And when you're focused on that, on growing into His vision for you, other people's opinions, their judgments, their attempts to pull you down, they fade into the background. You're not worried about their doubts or their criticism because you're too busy working on yourself, guided by His hand, healed by His grace. That's the secret. You got to care more about your growth in God than about what the world thinks. When you're constantly trying to prove yourself to others, when you're chasing their approval to feel worthy, you lose sight of what matters most. You lose sight of the path God set for you, the purpose He planted deep in your soul. But when you're focused on becoming the person He created, when you're walking in His truth, the noise of the world becomes irrelevant. You stop needing validation from others because you're too busy finding it in God's love and His promises and His unshakable truth. And let me tell you, when you stop seeking the world's approval and start seeking His, that's when you become powerful. That's when you become untouchable because you're not waiting for anyone to tell you you're enough. God already did, and you believe Him with every fiber of your being. When you live from that place of divine assurance, when you walk in the truth of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, which states that you are God's handiwork created in Christ Jesus for good works. He prepared in advance, nothing and no one can shake you. No rejection, no failure, no wound can define you because God's definition of you is greater. But it's not enough to just know yourself. You've got to be all in for the purpose God gave you. What's your purpose? What's God whispering to your heart right now? What's the dream He's placed in you that you're afraid to chase? You've got to be so locked in on what He's called you to do that no distraction, no wound, no setback can pull you away. When you're clear on His mission for you, when you know what you're working toward, it's easier to tune out the noise, the doubts, the critics, the pain. You're not worried about what others are doing or saying because you're too focused on the path God laid out for you, the path He's guiding you through. And that's critical, staying on your path. Too often we get caught up comparing ourselves to others. We see their victories, their blessings, their highlight reels on social media or in life, and we start doubting ourselves. We wonder if we're on the right track, if we're doing enough, if God's plan for us is as good as theirs. What's your deepest fear? Who's making you feel small today? Comparison is a trap straight from the enemy, designed to steal your joy, to reopen wounds of inadequacy or envy. It pulls your eyes off the journey God designed for you and fixes them on someone else's. And when you do that, you lose your way, you lose your focus, you lose your peace. You've got to stay focused on the race God set before you. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1 encourages us to run with perseverance the race marked out for us, throwing off everything that hinders us and the sin that so easily entangles. Everyone's race is different. Everyone's timing is God's timing, perfect and unique. What He has for you will come in His season and His way, tailored to the purpose He wrote for your life. But if you're too busy staring at someone else's lane, if you're letting their success or their words wound you, you'll miss what He's got waiting for you. So stop comparing. Stop letting their victories or their judgment shake your faith. Reopen your scars. Stay locked in on your journey and trust that God has you exactly where you need to be, healing you, preparing you, guiding you. Let's talk about criticism now. Because no matter how strong your faith, no matter how clear your purpose, there will always be critics. There will always be voices trying to tear you down, trying to make you doubt God's plan, trying to reopen old wounds of rejection, failure, or shame. But you can't let their words cut you. You can't let criticism make you question who you are in Christ or what He's called you to do. You got to filter out the noise with discernment, with prayer, with God's wisdom. Not all criticism is bad. Sometimes God uses others to show us what we can't see, to help us grow, to refine us, to heal us. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 31 says that whoever heeds life-giving correction will be at home among the wise. But you've got to know the difference between constructive feedback that builds you up and destructive attacks that aim to tear you down. You've got to recognize when someone's offering wisdom from God and when they're just trying to dim your light, to make you feel small, to keep you trapped in pain. And when you see that, you take what's useful, what aligns with God's truth, and you let the rest go. You don't let it fester. You don't let it wound you. Even when criticism is helpful, you can't let it define you. You can't let it shake your faith in yourself or in God's plan. You've got to stay rooted in who He says you are, in the truth of Psalm chapter 139, verse 13, which declares that God knit you together with purpose, with intention, with love. Take the feedback, use it to grow, but don't let it rattle your confidence or make you question your worth, because your worth comes from God, not from the opinions of others, not from the pain of your past. And here's something to hold close: criticism often says more about the critic than it does about you. People attack what they don't understand. They lash out at what threatens them, what makes them feel small, what exposes their own insecurities. So when someone comes for you, when they try to wound you with their words, it's usually their fears talking, not your shortcomings. Who's hurt you the most? What words are still echoing in your heart? You've got to know that their criticism isn't the truth. Don't take it personally. Don't let it reopen those old wounds of rejection or inadequacy. So how do you walk through life without letting the world break you? You anchor yourself in God's truth, in His unchanging love. You stay laser-focused on His purpose for you, on the calling He's placed in your heart. You tune out the noise, the critics, the doubters, the pain, and you keep moving forward no matter what. You don't let criticism, doubt, or fear hold you back. You don't let the world's opinions or your own past mistakes make you question your calling. You keep your eyes on what matters: your growth, your purpose, your God-given journey. And when you live with that kind of clarity, that kind of faith, nothing can stop you. You become unshakable, a vessel of God's strength, a beacon of His light. You become someone who can handle anything life throws at you, because you're walking with Him, healed by His grace, empowered by His love. When you move through life with that purpose, that determination, nothing can touch your soul. Nothing can break your spirit. You've built your strength from within, fueled by faith, and that strength, that divine power, is unbreakable. But let's be real, it's not easy. Walking through life unshaken is a daily battle, a spiritual fight, because the world never stops testing you. Life will throw challenges at you to see if you truly believe in God's plan, to see if you'll hold fast to His promises when the pain feels overwhelming. It'll put people in your path who doubt you, who try to pull you down, who try to make you feel like you're not enough. Sometimes those people are the ones closest to you, your friends, your family, the ones you love most, the ones whose words cut the deepest. They'll tell you you can't do it, that you're not enough, that you should give up on your dreams, your calling, your healing. And in those moments, those painful, heart-wrenching moments, you've got to choose who you're going to listen to, them or God. You've got to remember that their opinions, their doubts aren't the truth. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 25 warns that the fear of man is a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. People will project their fears, their doubts, their insecurities onto you. They'll try to hold you back because they're scared to step out in faith themselves, because they're wrestling with their own wounds. But that's their burden, not yours. You got to recognize that and not let their words wound you, not let them reopen the scars of rejection or failure. That takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes a daily prayerful commitment to block out the noise and focus on what God says is true. You got to tune out the negativity, the doubt, the fear, and fill your heart with positivity, faith, and God's promises. You got to choose every day to lean into what's good, what's holy, what lifts your spirit, what heals your soul. And when you do that, when you make that choice daily, you build armor, spiritual armor, as Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11 urges, to stand against the schemes of the enemy. The more you practice it, the stronger that armor gets, and the less the world can hurt you. But let's talk about the real enemy, because sometimes it's not just the world, it's you. What's your name? What's the lie you're telling yourself today? What's the deepest wound you're carrying? The one that whispers you're not enough, that voice in your head, the one saying you're not good enough, not worthy, not capable. That's the one you've got to fight hardest. Self-doubt is a deep wound, a personal attack from within, a lie from the enemy that feels like truth. It's your own mind turning against you, telling you you can't do it, that you don't have what it takes, that your mistakes or your pain define you. And when that voice gets loud, when it echoes through the quiet moments, it's hard to silence. But you've got to take control of it. You've got to speak God's truth back to it boldly and without hesitation. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13 declares that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. That voice of doubt, it's not the truth. It's fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of stepping into God's calling, fear of facing your wounds. But you can't let fear run your life. You can't let it stop you from chasing what God has for you, from healing what's broken, from becoming who He created you to be. You've got to push through it with courage, with faith, even when that voice screams at you to quit, even when the pain feels too heavy to bear. How do you silence it? You shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on fear, focus on your God-given strengths, on the gifts He's placed in you. Focus on what you're capable of, what He's equipped you to do. Focus on every time you've overcome, every challenge you've faced, every wound you've healed, every victory God has brought you through. And when that doubt creeps in, when it tries to reopen those scars of shame, rejection, or grief, remind yourself of who God says you are. Remind yourself of your worth, your power, your ability to overcome with His strength. You've already proven you can do it. You've walked through fire before. Maybe it was a loss, a betrayal, a failure, a moment of crushing loneliness, and you came out stronger, didn't you? You faced negativity, doubt, fear, pain, and you kept going. So why stop now? Why let fear win? Why let those old wounds define your future? It's a daily fight, a daily choice to believe in God's plan for you. Every day you've got to decide to drown out the negativity, both from the world and from within, and cling to His promises. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you stand on God's truth, the more natural it feels, the stronger your faith becomes. But don't get it twisted. There will still be days when it's tough. Moments when doubt feels like it's swallowing you whole, when the world's negativity or your own inner critic seems too heavy to bear. On those days, dig deeper. Reconnect with God's purpose for you. Pray for His vision, His strength, His healing touch. Psalm chapter 147, verse 3 proclaims that He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Your purpose, that's what keeps you grounded. When you know why God put you here, when you're clear on His calling, you become unstoppable. No matter what anyone says, no matter what obstacles rise up, no matter how deep the pain, you're locked in on God's bigger picture, and nothing can pull you off course. But let's be clear, knowing your purpose isn't enough. You've got to fight for it tooth and nail with every ounce of faith you have. You've got to be willing to push through the pain, the heartache, the moments when it feels impossible, when the wounds feel fresh. Because here's the truth, nothing great, nothing God-ordained comes easy. It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes resilience forged in the fire of faith and trial. And that resilience, that's what separates those who fulfill God's calling from those who don't. It's not about talent or luck. It's about staying faithful, staying focused, pushing through the trials with God as your anchor. Life will test you. It will throw obstacles in your path, heartbreak, loss, betrayal, failure, loneliness. It will send people to doubt you, to tear you down, to make you feel unworthy. But if you're resilient, if you're committed to God's purpose, if you keep moving forward no matter what, you'll come out stronger, healed, transformed. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through faith, through trials, through leaning on God. Every setback, every wound, every hurdle is a chance to grow stronger, to deepen your trust in Him, to prove to yourself that with God you can handle anything. And the more resilient you become, the less the world can shake you. You start to see setbacks as part of God's plan, obstacles as steps toward His purpose, pain as a pathway to healing, and staying focused becomes easier because you know with Him you're unstoppable. But you don't have to walk this road alone. Yes, your strength comes from within, from God's Spirit living in you, but He also gave us community for a reason. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who encourage your faith, who remind you of God's promises when you forget, who help you heal when the pain feels too much. Who's in your corner right now? Who's speaking life into your soul, helping you carry your burdens, the voices you let in? They matter. They shape your mindset, your confidence, your resilience, your healing. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who push you closer to God, who remind you of your worth when the world tries to tear you down, when old wounds try to reopen. And don't just be that person for others. Lift them up. Encourage their faith. Support their journey through their own pain, their own struggles. Because the love you pour out into the world, the light you share comes back to you. When you build others up, you strengthen yourself too, you heal together. But let's be clear, support isn't validation. You don't need anyone to tell you you're enough. God already said it, and His word is the final say. The people in your life are there to walk with you, to cheer you on, to point you back to Him. But only you, with God's guidance, can chart your path, can choose to heal, can step into your purpose. At the end of the day, it's on you. It's your mindset, your faith, your resilience, your choice to heal. Life will test you. That's a promise. People will doubt you, criticize you, try to break your spirit with their words or actions, try to make you feel like your wounds define you. But you've got a choice. Will you let their rejection wound you, let their words reopen old scars, or will you rise above it? Will you let the negativity drag you down, or will you cling to God's purpose for your life? It's not easy, never will be. But it's worth it. When you walk through life with God's clarity, with His purpose burning in your heart, with His strength holding you up, nothing can stop you. You become unshakable, unstoppable, a force of faith, resilience, and healing. And that's where your true power lies, in knowing who you are in Christ and living it boldly, no matter what the world throws at you, no matter how deep the pain. Now, I'm not saying you won't feel the sting of anger, frustration, or pain. You're human, and those feelings are a real part of the heart God gave you. You'll feel the ache of loss, the burn of rejection, the weight of grief or shame. But don't let them own you. Feel them, pray through them, lay them at His feet, and let them go. Don't let your emotions steer your choices or derail your path. Because when you react to every jab, every hurt, every wound, you lose sight of God's plan. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're pouring your heart into a project, your dream, your calling, something God placed on your heart. You've worked hard, given it everything, sacrificed sleep, tears, time, and you're proud of what He's helped you create. Then someone comes along and tears it down. They say it's not enough, that you missed the mark, that you're not good enough. What do? You've got two paths. You can let their words cut you. Let them make you doubt your worth, question your work, reopen wounds of inadequacy or failure. Or you can step back, pray for God's wisdom, and ask, is there truth in this criticism? Can I grow from it? Can it help me heal or refine my purpose? Or is it just noise, just someone's opinion trying to dim my light? If it's not helpful, if it's not from God, let it go. Don't let it burrow into your soul. Don't let it shake your faith or your confidence in His plan. You got to learn to separate the wheat from the chaff, to discern what builds you up and what tears you down. Focus on what helps you grow closer to God's purpose, what helps you heal those deep wounds. Because it's not about what others think, it's about what you know in your heart, what God has spoken to you. If you let every opinion wound you, if you let every rejection or failure define you, you'll never reach the heights He's planned for you. I'm not saying ignore all criticism. Some of it, the godly kind, can sharpen you, refine you, help you grow. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says that as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. But you have to know the difference between what's meant to help and what's meant to hurt. And when you figure that out, you're in control. You decide what enters your spirit and what gets left behind. This isn't a one and done deal. It's a journey, a daily walk with God. It takes time, prayer, and awareness. You've got to watch your reactions. When anger or hurt creeps in, when old wounds of shame, rejection, or grief reopen, pause. Breathe. Pray. Ask God for clarity before you act. This isn't about bottling up your emotions. That's suppression, and it'll break you. It's about mastering them with His guidance. Recognize what you feel, understand it, and choose how to respond with God's wisdom. Think of your emotions like fuel. Uncontrolled, they can burn you down, leaving destruction in their wake. But guided by faith, they can propel you forward, power you toward your purpose, help you heal. They can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. It's your choice. So the next time you feel that frustration, that pain, that doubt, stop. Don't react in the heat of the moment. Take a moment to pray, to reflect, to lay it before God. Ask yourself what's really happening here. Is this worth my peace? Am I letting this steal my joy, my faith, my healing? When you step back, you gain God's perspective. You see clearly through His eyes. And that's when you can choose to respond, not react. Responding is power. It's faith in action. It's you guided by God, taking charge of your heart and your path. Reacting is letting the world or the enemy steer you. When you respond, you're deliberate, intentional, walking in God's purpose, moving toward healing. That's the mindset you need to grow, to move forward, to mend those broken places in your soul. Now let's talk about expectations, because so much of our pain, so many of our wounds come from what we thought would happen. We map out our lives, expect things to go our way, and when they don't, we're crushed. The job falls through, the relationship breaks, the dream shatters, the diagnosis comes, and it feels like the world is caving in, like every wound is fresh again. Life isn't a straight line. Things break. People fail you. Despite all your hard work, sometimes it all falls apart, and the pain of that loss, that betrayal, that disappointment can feel like a betrayal of your heart. And in those moments, you've got a choice. Let it shatter you, let it reopen every scar, or let God rebuild you, heal you, restore you. Don't let unmet expectations control your heart. Don't let disappointment steal your faith, your hope, your trust in His plan. Learn to adapt, to pivot, to trust God's timing, even when it doesn't look like yours. That's resilience. That's strength. Life is unpredictable, full of highs and lows, moments of joy and moments of sorrow. If every setback throws you off, if every loss reopens old wounds, you'll never find solid ground. But when you trust God's timing, when you believe Romans chapter 8, verse 28, that all things work together for good for those who love Him, you stand firm, you heal, you rise. Sometimes what feels like a loss is God setting you up for something greater. That closed door might be His way of opening a new one, leading you to a path you never imagined, a path of healing and purpose. But you've got to trust Him. You've got to let go of your plans, your expectations, and embrace His. That's faith, believing there's purpose in the pain, growth in the struggle, healing in every trial. When you live with that faith, setbacks don't break you. They shape you, refine you, prepare you for what's next. You're not just surviving, you're growing stronger, closer to God, more whole. This isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily walk with Him. It's training your mind to focus on His truth, building mental toughness, emotional resilience, and spiritual strength. It takes time, effort, prayer, and persistence. But it's worth it. Because when you're no longer controlled by your emotions, when you can face life's storms with God's grace and confidence, you're free. Free from the world's opinions. Free from the fear of failure. Free from the need for validation. Free from the emotions that try to hold you back, that try to keep those wounds open. That's the freedom I'm talking about, the freedom to live fully in God's purpose, unshaken by the world's chaos, healed by His love. But don't misunderstand, this isn't about being cold or emotionless. This is about being fully human, fully alive, feeling every joy, every sorrow, every frustration, every grief, but not letting anyone feeling control you. It's about balance, about staying grounded in God's love so that no matter what's happening around you, your heart remains steady, your wounds begin to heal. So how do you get there? How do you master your emotions with God's help? Start with self-awareness. Know your triggers, your patterns, your weaknesses. Pay attention to how you react when life hits you hard. Do you get defensive when criticized, shut down when overwhelmed, lash out in anger? Do old wounds of rejection, failure, or loneliness flare up? Seeing those tendencies is the first step to changing them. Once you know how you react, you can choose to respond differently with God's guidance. It's not easy. It takes practice, prayer, and patience. But every time you choose to respond with faith, it gets easier. It becomes who you are, a person led by God, not by fleeting emotions, a person who's healing, growing, becoming. And yes, you'll mess up. There will be days when your emotions get the best of you, when you react instead of respond, when the pain feels too heavy, when the wounds feel too raw. That's okay. You're human. What matters is what you do next. Do you wallow in guilt? Let one mistake reopen every scar? Or do you pray, learn, and keep moving forward? The goal isn't perfection. It's progress, growth, healing, becoming more like the person God created you to be. And keep moving forward no matter how many times you stumble, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Because as long as you're walking toward God's purpose, you're winning, you're healing, you're rising. Life's challenges aren't just about others' opinions. Sometimes it's the situations that hit you hardest, that cut the deepest, that reopen every wound. Life is unpredictable. Jobs are lost, relationships, and health fails. Dreams shatter, loved ones leave. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like the world's against you, like every scar is fresh, like you'll never be whole again. It's easy to let those blows crush your spirit, to let the pain of loss, betrayal, or grief define you. But you can't let them. You've got to stay grounded in God's promises, in His truth, in His healing power. You control your response, your attitude, your faith. When you focus on what you can control, your trust in God, your mindset, your actions, you build resilience. That's what it's all about, bouncing back, standing strong, trusting God through the storm, letting Him heal your broken places. You can't do that if you're reacting to every hit, every word, every obstacle. You've got to find that inner calm, that peace that comes from knowing, as Philippians chapter 4, verse 7 promises, that God's peace surpasses understanding and guards your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. This isn't just talk, it's real. Life will test you, and it's not always gentle. Maybe you've lost your job out of nowhere, and it feels like the ground's been ripped out from under you. That hurts. It shakes you to your core, makes you question your worth, your future, your purpose. Or maybe a relationship ended, a friendship, a romance, a family bond, and it feels like your heart's been torn apart, like you're not enough, like you'll never love or be loved again. That pain is real, raw, consuming a wound that feels like it'll never heal. Or maybe you're facing a health battle, a diagnosis that changes everything, that fills you with fear and uncertainty, that makes you feel fragile, vulnerable. That fear can paralyze you, make you feel like you're drowning in the unknown. But in those moments, you've got to dig deep. You've got to lean on God's strength, remind yourself of your resilience, and trust that He's with you, healing you, guiding you. Relationships may break, but you are still whole in God's eyes. A job may vanish, but new doors can open, maybe a career you've always dreamed of, maybe a chance to start fresh, to rediscover your purpose. A diagnosis may scare you, but it doesn't define you, God does. You choose whether to let those moments crush you or to let God rebuild you, restore you, heal you through them. You choose whether to let the pain keep you down or to rise up in faith, stronger, wiser, whole. So how do you build that resilience? How do you heal those wounds and stand strong? Start with knowing who you are in God, your values, your calling, your purpose. What's driving you today? What's God placed on your heart that won't let go? When you're clear on that, when you're rooted in His truth, life's chaos can't shake you. You see challenges as opportunities, as Paul writes in Romans chapter 5, verse 3-4, where suffering produces perseverance, character, and hope. Those hardships aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones to becoming who God made you to be, to healing what's broken, to growing stronger. It's not easy. Some days you'll feel overwhelmed, ready to quit, crushed by the weight of it all. But in those moments, lean into God. Pray for strength, for clarity, for healing. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 assures us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Remember that your resilience is built through resistance, just like muscle. Every trial, Every wound, every loss makes you stronger, more faithful, more unstoppable. Surround yourself with the right people, those who lift you up, who point you to God, who believe in you when you doubt yourself, who help you heal when the pain feels too much. Who's walking with you right now? Who's reminding you of God's promises when you forget? Who's holding your hand through the grief or loneliness? Those voices matter. They shape your faith, your strength, your perspective, your healing. But you've got to be your own biggest cheerleader first. Practice self-love, self-compassion rooted in God's love for you. Treat yourself with the grace you'd offer a friend who's hurting, who's carrying wounds like yours. Remind yourself of your strengths, because if you don't believe in God's plan for you, who will in perspective, don't lose it. When life feels like it's falling apart, when the wounds feel fresh, it's easy to drown in negativity, to let the pain define you. But your perspective shapes your reality. If you focus on the pain, that's all you'll see. Shift your eyes to God's promises, to the lessons, to the hope, to the healing He offers. Even in the darkest moments, there's light. Lost your job, it's tough, but it's also a door to new possibilities, a new path, a new dream, a new calling. A breakup, it hurts, but it's not the end of your story. God's writing a new chapter, one of restoration and love. Health struggles, they're heavy, but they don't define you. His love does. See every challenge as a chance to grow, to thrive, to heal, to step into His purpose. Fear will come. It's human. It's natural. It's there to protect you, but it can also paralyze you, keep you from healing, keep you from moving forward. When something new or uncertain looms, fear can stop you from stepping into God's calling, from facing your wounds. But fear isn't truth, it's a feeling. You can feel it and still act in faith. Every time you push past fear, every time you step out in God's strength, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought, that you're healing, that you're capable. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then realize, even if it goes wrong, God's got you. You'll rise, learn, heal, and keep going. That's power. That's resilience. That's faith in action. And don't forget self-care. You can't pour from an empty cup. Make time for what fills you: prayer, worship, exercise, loved ones, hobbies, moments of quiet with God. Prioritize it, because when you're full, you're ready to face anything with God's strength, ready to heal, ready to rise. Resilience isn't just bouncing back, it's growing stronger, becoming more of who God created you to be, healing deeper with every step. Every trial, every wound, every loss is a chance to rise higher, to trust more fully, to become whole. Don't just survive, thrive. Learn from every experience. Reflect on how God's shaping you, how He's healing you, how He's turning your pain into purpose. Use it to move forward with faith, with courage, with love. The road won't be smooth. There will be bumps, detours, moments when you feel lost, when the pain feels too heavy, when the wounds feel too raw. But keep your eyes on God's destination. Trust in His plan, as Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 assures, a plan to prosper you and give you hope and a future. Lean into your resilience. Surround yourself with His love, with people who lift you up, who help you heal. Focus on what you can control: your faith, your response, your heart. Feel your emotions, but don't let them lead you. You are capable of greatness, and God believes in you. So believe in yourself. Now I'm calling you to action. What's your name? What's your story? What's holding you back today? What's the wound you're ready to let God heal? Stand up. Claim God's purpose for your life. Commit to this journey with me. Build resilience, trust. God heal your heart, lift each other up. Share your story, your pain, your victories, your healing. Encourage someone else, remind them of their worth in Christ, help them rise from their own wounds. Together we can face life's storms with unshakable faith, with His strength, with relentless resolve. When life knocks you down, rise again. You are stronger than you know, because the Creator of the universe walks with you, heals you, loves you. Don't let the noise of the world steal your peace. Don't let fear or doubt dim your light. Don't let old wounds, rejection, failure, grief, loneliness define your future. You are unstoppable, not because of your own power, but because God's power lives in you. So take that step today. Pray boldly. Move forward fearlessly. Trust God's plan completely. And never, ever give your power away. Let's rise together. Will you join me? Will you stand up right now, wherever you are, and declare that you are enough, that God's purpose for you is enough, that His healing is enough? Let's do this not just for ourselves, but for everyone watching, everyone struggling, everyone carrying wounds, everyone needing to know they're not alone. Share this message. Lift someone up today. Pray for someone who's hurting. Let's build a movement of faith, resilience, and healing, a movement where we rise above the pain, where we heal together, where we shine God's light into every dark corner. Who's with me? Let's do this together in His name, for His glory.